Alright, I'm going to show you my compost bin and how I turn it over. So I used to have a plastic compost bin, but the rats would eat through, and then I couldn't repair it to stop them from getting in, so I built my own out of wood. It's made out of mostly redwood, so these are fence boards cut to size, and then these are redwood 2x4s. And I had to reinforce these corners because just because of wear and tear. So you take off the top and you can see flies. So when they show you the really nice compost pictures in the magazines and stuff, they just show this nice dark dirt, but the dirty little secret of compost heaps is there's lots of flies. So flies have to make a living too. Also, if you put seeds in your compost, it'll start growing. So the idea is that this is a wooden compost bin. Again, these are fence boards. These are 2x2 redwood on the corner pieces. You can see I've reinforced some of the sides because the rats were chewing through there. So I added an extra board on the outside and put some wire mesh in between, and that stopped them from, here's another one where they chewed through. Stopped them from getting in. So the idea is that you've got to move the compost from this location over to here. And on the way, you usually want to try to harvest some of your compost. And what we're going to use it for is our raised bed. So we have two raised beds. This one we used last summer. So we're going to use this one this year. And you can see the level is down. So I should be able to harvest enough compost out of that compost bin to fill this up and make it ready for planting. Alright, so over here, this is another thing that I built. It's a sieve to get the compost separated from any bigger pieces. And that goes over onto the wheelbarrow. And you'll see that later, how you put the compost on and get it through. So also use rubberized gloves because the compost is wet and sloppy. So we're going to move this over onto here. And then we just put the compost on here, and we can either, if it's nice and dry, sift it, but mostly you have to push it through. So that's another dirty little secret. The thing I've got is I've got an outlet for my potting bench here. Lets the water out. So it either goes to this one or this one. So this one's open now, and I'll plug this one once I move it over here. So any water coming from my potting bench just goes in here and helps moisturize the compost pile. The other thing I built is this wire mesh on the bottom so raccoons and stuff can't dig through. The other thing I usually do is I put boards in front here, and that will block the raccoons from digging from the front. So you can see these, looks like I had opened compost bins before, and I did. The problem was the raccoons and the rats could just get in with no problem. I tried putting this mesh up, but they can get around it. So then I went to this solid wood compost bin. So first thing we need to do is move some soil over here, get it down low enough so we can take this top section off. See, there's 4 sections down there. There's the first one, 2, 3, 4. So we just move them over one at a time and move the compost over. First 2 bins, first 2 levels we'll move over without touching it. Then the bottom 2 is where the compost should be. And that's what we'll take out and put into the raised bed. So to get out the compost, easiest thing to use is use a fork like this. Get to the bottom, and you might need a shovel, but a fork like this is the best for moving compost around. So you just pick up a little bit, move it over here, dump it in the middle. Try to get away from the edges so it won't tip over. This one's pretty full. Oh, and here's the other secret to compost is the worms. So the way you really make compost is you put all your kitchen cuttings in here, and then you have worms that do all the composting for you, so you really don't have to do very much except turn it over once in a while. So I didn't buy any worms. There were either worms just came through the soil, or I did put some, oh, there's a little lizard up there. He likes the flies, so he's going to try to catch a fly. Yeah, go for it. I also put some potting soil in here once, and also I have put in manure like steer manure or chicken manure a few times, that could have some worms in it. So at some point the worms come in, and then they're happy as clams. So keep moving this over, and I'm just gonna pause for a minute here, and when I get enough over there so I can move the top level, I'll show you how you do that. So we'll turn this off for now. One more thing, I usually don't let it get this full before I start harvesting compost, but last time I tried to take some out, the compost was really the soil was really plasticky. It was almost like a plastic, so it was really sticking together. So I bought a 3 cubic feet of soil conditioner, and as I moved it over last time over this way, I put a little layer in, then I put some of the soil conditioner in, then I put another layer of the composting material over, and layered it up so that it'll get mixed up with some of the soil conditioner and help break up the clay soil, because we have a lot of clay soil there. So that's why it's so full. Normally you want to turn it over before you fill up this top level. Then you can just move this level over first, and then start putting stuff in. It's a lot easier to keep it contained. Now, of course, it's not that hard to keep it contained, but it just works better if you don't wait so long as I did. So. And one other thing is we pretty much put all of our kitchen scraps in. We don't put meat in except maybe very small pieces. But like here's an old brownie or something that got stale, so we got rid of that. And you can see all the eggs, bananas, some cardboard. Like if we get a pizza or something, we put the pizza box in here. Things like that. So pretty much anything organic can go in here, and that's what's the beauty of composting, is that then you aren't sending it to the landfill or to the centralized compost. You can use the compost in your garden, get some free compost. Now it is a lot of work. It's cheaper to buy soil, potting soil for your raised beds and stuff. It's probably the amount of time I spend on this, but I enjoy it. It's good exercise, and I feel like I'm helping out, so I like that. We do get $4.50 off our garbage bill every 3 months, so it's not a lot of money, but it's a little bit of incentive from the garbage recycling company. So they haven't really raised that since they started it, which is kind of annoying, but that's the way things go. All right, so we'll get the first layer over, then I'll show you how to move the top section over, and then we'll go on from there. All right, so we've cleared enough away over here. We got a little pile going over here to pick up the top section. Another thing to notice is these little white things back there. Those are fly eggs, so little fruit flies. They put these little white eggs in there. That's what they are. So, all right, so we lift this section up, put it over here, put it in there. Yeah, so then we got it like that. So now we have a nice boundary to put move the next layer over, and then we'll just keep going. And all 4 of these sections will be over there. See all the beetles? There's some beetles down there. Beetles are heading for the hills. There's some sow bugs. So the beetles like it too. That's fine. Actually, these aren't eggs. These are little maggots, little fruit fly maggots. That's what those white things are. They don't talk about that in the little articles about composting, but you can have fruit fly maggots in your compost. So that's okay. This is the life cycle of the fruit fly. As long as you're careful, they won't come into your house. And the spiders, I have spider webs around here, so spiders like the flies, and the lizards are looking for their lunch, so everybody makes out in the end. All right, so we've gotten down to a layer of compost that doesn't have much of the fresh material in it, the cuttings and what we put in every day. And so we've put about a little less than half over into the new location. So now it's time to start sifting out some compost and harvesting it. So there's a lot of good compost in this layer of the compost bed. So again, we're using the fork. That's the easiest way to move the compost. Put it over here onto the sieve. There's a few things in it, like there's an eggshell, but that's all right. There's going to be some worms in there. Some worms are going to die. That's the other thing I'll tell you about when you're composting. Some worms were harmed in the making of this video, but unfortunately that's just the way they were. I am giving them free food, so they have a pretty good life, except when it's time to harvest. And a lot of them are going to survive, but Some of the ones that go through the sieve are not going to survive, but some of the ones will be on top and they'll go back over here and they'll do just fine in the new compost bin. So we keep moving this over until we get a nice layer in there. That's pretty good. So this compost is still pretty wet. You can see how wet it is. So sifting is not really going to work. So again, in the compost articles, they say you can just sieve it, by shaking it around. That never works either. So you gotta use these rubberized gloves. You just go like this, and you're just pushing the compost through the mesh, and it's like here's a wrapper or something. The compost will go through the mesh, and here's a big root that I gotta break up. So usually when I find things like this, I try not to put too much stuff this big in here, but occasionally I throw things in. So when I find them, I break them up, and then next time they'll be smaller. So I just keep sifting. Some of this is nice material because some of this is the soil conditioner. So there's what is that? Well, it's probably a avocado pit. Sort of composting. Just keep going, and when I get done, I'll show you what the compost looks like. So you have to kind of sieve it through by pushing it. Again, some worms are going to be harmed, but that's unavoidable in this situation. It's unavoidable no matter what you do with your compost. So, all right, so we'll turn it off for now, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's all sieved. Plastic. You see how this sticks together? It's almost like plastic. So we can't really get any more out of here. We could get a little bit more, but then you pick this up. This is going to go on the other side down. Pick this up and dump it in here. So all the worms on top here will survive. We try to shake the other ones off. Hopefully they'll bounce off if they get smart. I'll try to help them out if I can. Come on, worm, there you go. All right, so we got all the worms off. A lot of them survived. And here's what the compost looks like. So this is nice soil. It's a little bit plasticky, but it's got the soil conditioner mixed in with it. So I put the soil conditioner in about a month ago, and I really could have used another couple months, but since the compost bin was getting so full, and it's time for planting, I really needed to get this compost out. So we'll just keep doing that layer by layer. When I get done, we'll see how much smaller the compost is, and I'll show you how I put this into the raised bed too. So stay tuned for that. There it is. That's all your hard work. Compost.